So, my question is related to a family member of mine. I have a close cousin of mine who seems to be very unhappy in his life. And one thing that's going on is his marriage seems to be quite troubled. His so one thing is that he and his wife both have alcohol use disorder, and in addition to that, his wife seems to be quite abusive. And um, according to him, uh, she, even though he's much larger and stronger than her, she verbally and physically abuses him, and he doesn't retaliate. Partly because um, he was taught not to retaliate against women, especially, and secondly because um, he's afraid that if he does physically defend himself, then she will use that as a leverage against him in terms of legal aspects and things like that. Anyway, long story short is that he calls his family members often to ask for advice, and we frequently advise him that he should stop using alcohol and seek perhaps psychological counseling, and perhaps seek at least a temporary separation from his family. And he usually rejects our. He listens to our advice, and then he doesn't follow through with any of it. And it's stressful he calls oftentimes several times a week, so sometimes several times a day, to talk about his problems. And so we want to be supportive, but at the same time, we feel kind of hopeless. And so I was wondering if you have any, I don't know what could possibly be, but if you have suggestions on how to help him with logic to get through, to have him understand his own problems and what he should do. And also how we as a family can manage our own feelings of helplessness and sorrow about this situation. So I guess those are my two questions: how, if it's possible, to help him or help him see his own problems, and how to manage our own emotions.
그 알코올 중독자가 두 부부가 다 알코올 중독자입니까? 아내가 알코올 중독자입니까? 남편이 알코올 중독자입니까?
So are both in the couple? They both have alcohol-related disorder, or is it just the wife, or is it just the husband?
It's both of them.
객관적으로 만약에 이 문제를 푼다면 서로 별거를 하거나 이혼을 하거나 격리를 하는 게 도움이 된다고 생각합니다.
So if we were to, approach this objectively, separating them, whether that's a divorce or that's other, but actually, creating the separation, right, between them is probably the best way.
그러고 병원에 치료를 받고 그다음에 알코올 중독자들의 모임을, 알코올 중독으로 벗어나고자 하는 그 경험 있는 사람들의 모임이 있지 않습니까? 그런 모임에 참여를 해서 다시 되풀이되지 않도록 하는 게 필요합니다.
And so, they would need to get medically treated for their alcoholism, as well as maybe, belong to a group of people, former alcoholics who have gone through similar experiences.
그러나 이것은 내가 아니고 다른 사람의 문제입니다.
However, this is not my problem. It has nothing to do with your intent, right? Somebody else's problem and their intent.
그들의 문제는 내가 마음대로 할 수가 없습니다.
And I can't really do anything about their intents and their problems.
이렇게 어떤 방향을 일러줄 수는 있지만은 내가 그것을 강제할 수는 없다는 겁니다.
So you can suggest solutions like you have, like this solution, but you can't demand or enforce that solution upon them.
그러면 나의 마음이 왜 불편한가 하는 겁니다.
So the question to you becomes then, why do I feel sad? Why do I suffer because they don't follow my advice?
이 문제를 해결하고 싶은데 해결할 방법이 없기 때문에, 또는 힘이 없기 때문에 또는 그들이 말을 듣지 않기 때문에 해결하고 싶은데 해결이 안 되기 때문에 오는 문제입니다.
And that's you suffer because you want to solve this problem, but you can't solve this problem because either they're not listening to your problem or you don't have the strength or the resources to actually provide them with the right solution.
그러니까 내가 어떤 문제를 하고 싶은데 그것을 할 수 없어서 생기는 거나 똑같은 겁니다.
So basically, at its very nature, it's the suffering that comes when you want to do something, but you can't do it.
내가 뭔가 하고 싶은데 그것이 할 수 없어서 생기는 고통은 이게 내 욕망이구나 이렇게 자각되기 때문에 어느 정도 멈출 수가 있는데 이것은 저 사람을 내가 좋은 일을 도와준다 하는 이 좋음이라는 것이 이게 핑계가 되기 때문에 멈추기가 더 어려운 겁니다.
So in a way, when you want to do something, say you want to do something for yourself, and then you can't do it and you suffer, but you realize that it's just your desire speaking, so you can actually mitigate that suffering. That's easier. But in this case, essentially it's the same thing. You want to do something, you can't do it, that's your suffering. But overlaid with that is a veneer of goodness, right? You're doing something on behalf or for somebody, for your cousin. So, that kind of veneer of goodness associated with this desire is actually making it more difficult for you to realize the true nature of this.
그러니까 내 마음이 불편한 것은 그들의 문제가 아니라 내가 옳다는 내가 하고 싶은 대로 안 되기 때문에 생긴 문제라는 걸 자각하고 어떤 경우에도 마음이 불편한 것은 나의 문제입니다.
So in whatever case it is, when you suffer, it's your problem. So in this case, you suffer more because what you desire is what you think is to be right or to be good.
그들의 문제가 아니라는 거예요.
So it's not their problem at all.
그들의 문제라는 것은 세상의 많은 문제처럼 그냥 하나의 문제일 뿐입니다.
So their problem is like one of the many common problems that we see in this world.
다만 이게 친척이라는 이름으로 내가 그것을 해결하고 싶은데 안 되기 때문입니다.
But for the fact that he's your cousin kind of triggers this desire for you to actually help him or to do good, and you can't.
또 추가적인 질문이 있으면 하세요.
Do you have any follow-up questions?
I do not have a follow-up question at this time. I guess it's not really a follow-up question, just more information about it. Is the couple have 3 children of middle school, elementary school age, and I guess it's painful to watch those children go through this situation and know that it's damaging them to watch this situation and not have any, like, I'm not in a situation where I can solve that problem, and I can potentially see this repeating the next generation and the next generation. So it's very frustrating for me.
그렇습니다. 가정폭력이라든지 이런 스트레스는 자녀들로 이어져서 내려가고 있습니다. 우리 다 그런 걸 물려받았고 물려주고 있는 것이 현실입니다.
Yes, it is true. Domestic violence, kind of creates that trauma in children, and the children inherit that trauma and then passes down to generation. We are all inheritors of such trauma to different extents, and we're all passing down this trauma.
그러나 우리가 할 수 있는 일에는 일정한 한계가 있기 때문에 이 세상은 좋은 것과 나쁜 것이 이렇게 뒤섞여서 이렇게 흘러가고 있는 겁니다.
But there's a limitations to what we can do. So this world will always be a mixture of the good and the bad.
우리는 할 수 있는 만큼 하는 거지 우리의 능력 밖으로 우리가 더 하고 싶어도 할 수가 없는 거지 않습니까?
Because we can only do what we can do. And no matter how we want to, we cannot do what we can't do.
우리는 지금 그러한 조카들보다도 팔레스타인에서 즉 가자 지역에서 수많은 어린아이와 민간인이 폭격을 받고 사망하는 것을 안타까워하면서도 우리는 아무런 해결을 지금 못하고 있지 않습니까?
So in addition to your nephew, we actually see the atrocities and the horrible kind of conditions that the children of the Gaza are under. And we all feel bad about it, watching and witnessing this real time, but there's nothing we can do.
이러한 비극적인 일도 이것 때문에 가슴 아프고 잠 못 이루 한다면 그것은 잠 못 이루는 것, 가슴 아픈 것은 나의 문제라는 거예요.
However, even witnessing such atrocities and tragedies that we see today, if you can't go to sleep because of the sadness, and if you suffer because of that, witnessing of such situation, whatever suffering that you suffer is due to yourself, not the phenomena.
왜냐하면 이것은 내가 잠 못 이루고 가슴 아파한다고 이 문제 해결에 아무 도움이 되지 않기 때문입니다.
Because just because you can't go to sleep over this, or just because you feel heartbroken over this, does not help solve that problem at all.
그래서 우리는 가슴 아파하거나 잠 못 이루어 하는 쪽으로 가지 말고 마음의 평정심을 유지하면서 그들에게 조금이라도 도움이 되게 구호 문자를 보내든 방법이 없으면 인터넷에 댓글이라도 폭격을 멈춰라고 하든지 길거리에서 캠페인을 벌리든지 무엇인가 조금이라도 행동하는 것이 그들에게 도움이 됩니다.
So, being heartbroken or losing sleep over their situation as you witness this does not help them at all. So, instead of doing that, maintaining the equanimity of your minds, but while being engaged in any kind of action, small or large, whether it's protesting in the streets or whether it's writing campaign or whether it's something else that you can do to relieve their suffering to any extent, that is more of a constructive and concrete way to address the situation.
자기의 조언이 받아들여지지 않고 아이들이 그렇게 어려움이 있다면 자기가 일주일에 한 번씩 시간을 내서 그 아이들에게 이 집안일은 얘기하지 말고 그냥 식사를 초대해서 햄버거집이라도 가서 밥을 사준다든지, 그러니까 그 부모가 끼치는 나쁜 영향은 피할 수 없지만은 내가 주는 좋은 영향을 조금이라도 주는 방법이 있을 수 있겠다 싶습니다.
So going back to your situation, although you're limited, over the power and influence you have to kind of change that situation, maybe you go in there and you treat your nephew once a week, the children, to a meal out, to hamburgers or pizza. So while you cannot protect them from the bad influence, negative influence they're experiencing because of the domestic violence situation, you can at least kind of extend some parts of the good influence that you can exert over them.